slashing open his flesh. Hot metal ripping through his muscles. Hot metal blowing open his skull. Flesh, gray matter, even teeth were sent flying through the air.
Jacksonville, Florida has always been one of the most complex battlefields in the rap game, where music, pride, and the streets collide.
Using Instagram on his phone, he contacts Raekwon Howard. Raekwon Howard, who is affiliated with 6 1. They're ops. Tells him, got one of your boys slipping. Let him know they're getting ready to take somebody out, but doesn't say who.
But even in a city known for hard stories, the fall of rapper Ksoo stands out as one of the most shocking examples of a career destroyed not by the industry.
The defense team opened up by trying to make the witness sound sketchy.
You're gonna hear from Barbara Buckley, and I'll tell you up front, I think you'll like her. She's feisty. No one pulls anything over her eyes. And she's gonna walk in and she's gonna honestly talk to you about that morning.
But by the streets that raised it.
A car approaching us, right, coming the way we were sitting.
What was significant about the car?
It was a lady driving, holding a cell phone. She looked lost, like she was looking for something.
What started as a mission to honor slain family and carry out get back for his fallen brother spiraled into a story that would shock the entire hip-hop world.
Where did you have to go to pick Hakeem up?
Up Arlington Expressway in some apartments.
And how did you know where to go?
I believe Kareem said it, or I don't know if there was a thing on his phone with a map. That I cannot remember.
It ended not with album deals or viral success, but with a life sentence.
Are you familiar with a local rap group called ATK?
Yes, sir.
Was Abdul Robinson Jr., Kareem, part of ATK?
Yes, sir.
What about Hakeem Robinson?
Yes, sir.
Leroy Whitaker?
Yes, sir.
Thorgon Williams?
Yes, sir.
Ksoo, known for his gritty sound and his role alongside rappers like Youngeen Ace, built a reputation that flowed from YouTube into real life. His music frequently referenced the harsh realities of Jacksonville ops, rivals, and violence.
If you know, what does the lyric "smoking on Willie" mean?
You're smoking on a dead person.
Is that a good thing?
That's a bad thing.
Was, Abdul Robinson Jr., Kareem, aware of this song?
Yes, sir.
What about Hakeem Robinson?
Yes, sir.
Leroy Whitaker?
Yes, sir.
Were they upset over that song?
Yes, sir.
But unlike many artists who kept that energy in the booth, Ksoo took it further.
Once you found out where Charles McCormick lived in December of 2019, why wasn't he killed right away?
Because he took a vacation.
Charles took a vacation?
Yeah.
Prosecutors claimed he made his music the soundtrack to real life, using lyrics as documentation and videos as taunts.
What happened after Hakeem jumped out of Nissan?
Shot at him.
Shot at who?
McCormick.
A move that would later become crucial in court.
As I was driving, I could hear Willie making this guggling noise, and I hold his hand while I was driving, because I didn't want him to die, feel like he died alone.
The core of the case revolves around the murder of Adrian Lil Buck Gaynor.
Who is the person that was captured on the video recording shooting Charles McCormick?
My son.
What's your son's name?
Hakeem.
A figure tied to rival crews and alleged street politics in Jacksonville.
Do you have a warrant for your arrest?
We have a warrant for your arrest for murder today.
What?
Yes.
For?
You want your lawyer, so I can't tell you no more, but you'll be in trouble.
What the hell?
When Lil Buck was gunned down in January 2020, rumors immediately began circulating, and a chilling Instagram video posted shortly after the killing hinted at involvement.
Kill a nigga, then go get my toes done. Then go get my toes done. Those are his words that he attached to a video.
Authorities quickly began connecting dots. A vehicle linked to the crime, social media posts, and even a music video that seemed to celebrate the act. Police would later claim the video was practically a confession. As news broke, the story evolved from rap beef to felony case. Ksoo was soon arrested and the charges were severe, first-degree murder. But what made the case truly shocking was how fast the walls closed in, and not because of street code-breaking snitches. The most devastating blow came from within his own home. Ksoo's father, Abdul Robinson Sr., chose to testify against his own son, allegedly to protect himself and secure a shorter sentence. It became one of the biggest betrayals in street and rap history. That decision instantly created a media frenzy. Fans couldn't believe what they were reading, a father turning state witness against his own child in a murder trial. The internet exploded with reactions and disbelief. Some called it unfair, some called it inevitable. Others saw it as the ultimate lesson in how the streets never play fair no matter who you are. But to legal analysts, it was simply evidence. Still, it raised a heavy question. Would this happen if lyrics weren't being used as evidence? Or if the culture didn't glorify disrespect and retaliation? The lines between art and reality had blurred entirely. And Ksoo was about to discover what happens when a courtroom decides the difference. One of the most talked about aspects of Ksoo's trial was how much of it played out like a modern-day tragedy. A rapper posting about enemies one day and facing those same posts as evidence the next. Prosecutors painted Ksoo as a proud participant in Jacksonville's ongoing conflicts, outlining how social media played a role in building the case against him. Videos, lyrics, DMs, even screenshots. Everything was laid out in court to connect Ksoo to Lil Buck's murder. This wasn't just a legal battle. It was a digital paper trail turned into a weapon. The state argued that Ksoo didn't just commit a crime, he bragged about it. Prosecutors claimed he wore specific outfits in music videos that matched surveillance footage from the night of the murder. They brought attention to Instagram stories where Ksoo allegedly mocked dead rivals and even pointed to diss tracks featuring direct references to real-life incidents. Combined with GPS tracking and witness testimony, the prosecutors were aiming for a slam dunk, and they believed they had it. Then came the turning point, Snitches, but not the kind you'd expect. The star witness was Ksoo's own father. Abdul Robinson Sr. reportedly agreed to testify against his son to save himself from a potential life sentence of his own. The internet went silent when this was revealed. What father makes that choice? Was it self-preservation? Fear? A breakdown in family bonds? Whatever the reason, it was devastating, and it was only the beginning. Other testimonies came from co-defendants and affiliates who accepted plea deals in exchange for cooperation. These individuals told the court about the planning that allegedly went into the hit, the route taken, and even the aftermath. One witness claimed they heard Ksoo talk about sliding days before the murder. Another described the relationship between Ksoo and the victim, linking the event to ongoing feuds in the Jacksonville rap scene. Every detail chipped away at the defense. Social media spin-ups called these individuals rats and turncoats, but legally, they became the nails in Ksoo's coffin. Prosecutors used the testimony to establish motive, timeline, and intention, the three pillars of a murder conviction. Every snitch, every screenshot, every bar in a diss track became another piece of a puzzle that the jury couldn't ignore. As the trial moved forward, fans debated online. Some saw Ksoo as a target of a system that weaponizes art. Others saw him as someone who pushed the limits of street credibility too far. But the trial wasn't about fan opinions. It was about law, evidence, and narrative. And the narrative was becoming impossible for the defense to dismantle. The walls were closing in, and Ksoo, once riding high on street fame, was facing the ultimate crash out. Ksoo's legal team faced an uphill battle from the moment he was arrested. They tried to paint him as an entertainer, not a murderer. They fought to suppress social media evidence and argued that lyrics should not be interpreted literally. They claimed the content was artistic expression, satire, or exaggeration, a common argument in rap trials. But with the combination of witnesses, family testimony, and digital evidence, the courtroom leaned heavily toward believing the state. Ksoo's lawyers also attempted to raise questions about police procedure. Was there proper probable cause in obtaining video evidence? Did investigators misinterpret digital content? Were other individuals more responsible for the shooting? These were valid legal questions, but they struggled to gain traction in the face of multiple cooperating witnesses. Every defense point was met with a counterpoint showing a screenshot, video still, or testimony that placed Ksoo in the spotlight for the wrong reasons. The jury didn't just hear about Ksoo's actions, they saw them, they heard the songs, they watched the videos, they witnessed the attitude behind the image. Something prosecutors claimed was direct evidence of motive. His own artistic persona, one that was meant to elevate his rap career, became the narrative used against him. And once the father testified, the defense strategy became survival, not victory. Legal experts following the case noted that this is becoming increasingly common in rap-related trials. Lyrics and visuals are being treated as confession-like material. While some artists argue this is unfair and cultural targeting, prosecutors and juries see it differently. They view it as corroboration when it aligns with real-world timelines, crimes, or relationships, and in Ksoo's situation, the alignment was too precise. Meanwhile, the media blitz surrounding the trial made it nearly impossible to control public perception. Headlines portraying Ksoo as a murderer, a gang member, a crash out were everywhere. And as the case dragged on, the prosecution's narrative became the dominant one. For every person arguing that rap is just entertainment, there were thousands pointing to dead bodies, real rivalries, and cold evidence. To the defense's credit, they pushed back hard against using rap as evidence. They referenced similar cases. They pointed to First Amendment protections. They argued that Ksoo was being punished for being a musician, not a criminal. But by the time closing arguments came around, even neutral observers noticed how much damage had already been done. The portrayal of Ksoo as a reckless, bragging assailant had stuck, and it proved impossible to wash off. When the verdict came in, it wasn't a surprise, but it still sent shockwaves across the rap world. Ksoo was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. The same streets that had once brought him fame had now taken everything from him. Fans flooded social media in disbelief. Some mourned the loss of talent. Others questioned his choices. Some said the streets always end like this. Others blamed Snitches, the system, and even the music industry for creating this cycle in the first place. For many, the sentencing represented the end of an era, not just for Ksoo, but for Jacksonville's entire wave of street rap. Many of its biggest names were already behind bars, facing indictments, or trying to escape the pull of beef-driven music. Ksoo was once seen as one of the most charismatic figures in this movement. Now, he was the cautionary tale. No label deals, no comeback, no second chance. Just concrete walls and the long shadow of a decision made in retaliation for the death of his brother. As the news hit, some rappers expressed sympathy, others distanced themselves. But one common message echoed across the hip-hop world. This was the ultimate crash out, a promising career cut short by violence and bad decisions. For young artists chasing clout through street lyrics, this case became a horrific warning. There's a thin line between bars and bars behind bars. But even with a life sentence, the case didn't truly end. Debates continue online about whether rap lyrics should be used in court. The advocacy for fair treatment of art versus crime is growing stronger, especially from those concerned about systemic biases in legal spaces. If a country song talks about shooting someone, no one questions the artist. But when a rapper does it, the lyrics become evidence, often without context. Some believe Ksoo could still appeal. Others think the legal system is done with him forever. But the message sent by prosecutors was powerful. Lyrics can and will be weaponized. And for a generation raised on diss tracks and Instagram lives, this ruling is a chilling reminder that the streets no longer protect, they prosecute. As time passes, the Ksoo case has become more than courtroom drama. It's become a cultural reference point for how rap intersects with law, family, and betrayal. It shows what happens when personal loss, anger, music, and street politics blend into something uncontrollable. It raises questions about what artists owe to their families, their communities, and themselves. The cycle of retaliation, popularity, and self-destruction has been seen before in hip-hop, but few stories capture it as intensely as this one. The father's involvement alone made this a story unlike any other. A parent turning witness against their own child isn't just a legal twist, it's a chilling reflection of how the streets can fracture even the deepest bonds. Whether justified or not, it left a scar that will be talked about for generations. Some say he did the right thing, some say he violated every code, but either way, the decision sealed Ksoo's fate. The trial also reignited debates about rap as evidence. Should lyrics be treated like confessions? Is art being used unfairly in the courtroom? Lawyers, artists, and activists continue to argue this point, but for now, prosecutors across the country see the Ksoo outcome as a roadmap. If an artist raps about violence, especially violence that lines up with a real case, that content can and likely will be used against them. And then there's the question of legacy. What will Ksoo be remembered for? Viral music videos, street anthems, or a case that symbolized the consequences of going too far? While fans still stream his music and refer to him as a Jacksonville icon, the story has evolved into something bigger, a warning to the next generation. Because in a digital era where everything is recorded, posted, and shared, nothing really dies, not even evidence. In the end, the case of Ksoo isn't just about one rapper losing it all. It's about a culture forced to confront its own contradictions, the rewards and traps of authenticity, the price of seeking clout, the reality that music can be a mirror, not just reflecting life, but documenting it. And sometimes documenting it can cost you your freedom. As the smoke clears and the trial fades from trending pages, the true weight of Ksoo's story becomes clearer. What many originally saw as a rapper seeking revenge now feels like a blueprint for how modern street rap can turn from hype to heartbreak in a matter of seconds. Behind the viral moments and the courtroom quotes is a very real tragedy. A young man so driven by loss, pride, and reputation that he gave up everything, freedom, legacy, and even family, for one decision. What makes the story even more haunting is how preventable it feels in hindsight. At any point, things could have gone differently. Careers could have been built, money could have been made, and the streets could have turned into a platform instead of a battlefield. But for every artist making it out, there are 10 trying to prove something to the people back home. That pressure, that validation, that belief that the streets need to see something real. It's a powerful force that has taken more rappers than the industry ever will. For the generation watching, this story isn't entertainment, it's education. It shows what happens when clout outweighs caution, when revenge outweighs reason, and when a moment outweighs a lifetime. It also exposes how fragile the concept of loyalty is in an era of self-preservation. Because once the charges hit, once the evidence stacks up, the same people who smiled in your videos might be the ones testifying against you. So where does the culture go from here? Maybe the answer is accountability. Maybe it's learning to separate the art from the crime before it's too late. Maybe it's understanding that not every diss has to become a headline and not every loss has to become retaliation. Because at the end of the day, no song, no number, and no viral moment is worth a life sentence. But for now, Ksoo will spend his life behind bars, knowing the story turned out very differently than it started. What could have been a legacy of music and impact became a cautionary tale. One that fans will reference and artists will study for years to come. This case will be talked about in studios, in classrooms, and in courtrooms, not because of the lyrics, but because of what happened after the music stopped. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss deep dive breakdowns like this. Stay safe, stay smart, and remember, the streets are watching, and so is the system.